I'm Niharika P. and I study in grade 9.
My name is Arni Gupta and I'm from grade 11.
My name is Pushta Gupta and I'm from grade 11.
My name is Shaili Gohad and I'm from grade 9.
And today we're going to talk about Gen Alpha.
Do you think Gen Alpha has their academics better than us?
Well, it depends, right? Because while Gen Alpha has access to a whole host of technology that even we didn't, especially with AI, because of the fact that they have access to that level of technology, the pressure on them to perform well academically is also higher than what we may even have. So there's that.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that a lot of Gen Alphas, even our generation, we misuse AI a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like we use it as something to write our assignments or help us, not actually as a tool that helps us study. So that also, I feel, brings down their performance a little bit lower than us.
Yeah, I think the same thing because the massive use of AI in our own academics, it affects it, but because of that, the teachers have more expectations, and even our parents, they have more expectations because we're exposed to so many resources which can be used in our daily life and academics.
Yeah. So basically what it's doing is it's lowering Gen Alpha's critical thinking skills. But at the same time, it's like two sides of the same coin. Number one, it's sort of lowering their cognitive ability, but at the same time, it's giving them the tools to improve their cognitive ability. So it depends on how you use it.
Yeah. I think them being introduced to AI at a very premature age, skilling the creativity or their ability to critically think.
Very true, yeah.
So it's just basically how they use this powerful tool that we've been given.
Do younger kids seem more aware and exposed than we were at their age? And is that a good thing or much too soon?
I think it's the same thing. Like they've been exposed to AI at a very young age, so it's a really good thing. At the same time, it's a bad thing. They can learn stuff farther ahead that we have at their age, or at the same time, they could lower their creative thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they're way more exposed and aware, even if they're just general surroundings, than we were at our own age. Like they're more they're more like aware of the global matters as well than we were. Like they're always exposed to the news or just YouTube videos in general talking about it, which I think that it is a good thing, but like she said, it could also be a bad thing if used wrongly.
I also feel they are more exposed, but at the same time, they should be limited to their exposure. Like, even though a lot of apps like YouTube and even the internet does have parental restrictions, it's very easy to remove them. And a lot of the Gen Alpha kids that I've talked to, they've seen more bad stuff on the internet than they're supposed to.
Yeah, that is very true. I feel like Gen Alpha as a generation, and this also extends to Gen Z, but we're more exposed to stuff on our screens than we are to things in real life.
Yes.
Right? The average person spends like easily at least 3 to 4 hours per day on their phone today. And that's not the way I think it should be brought up. The information is good, like the fact that they are exposed to a wide variety of information at a young age. But as Paushita said, they're more likely to be exposed to the bad side very early, which can impair their development.
Even in terms of like fashion, I think like we were never like that, like not exposed, but like we weren't that obsessive over what we used to wear. Like as kids, like maybe now we are, but like as very young kids, we just wore whatever was there, we just wore it. But now I think that as Gen Alpha is rising, I think that they're way more not obsessed, but they're more aware of and self-conscious of what they're wearing, just in general as well.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, and I also feel that a lot of these Gen Alpha kids, they have so much expectations on themselves when they're kids. Like when I was their age, I was probably just worried about if I'm gonna go down to play today or not. But they're worried about how they look, what their weight is. I've seen a lot of them go on strict diets, which is not necessary for them. Like I feel we were way more happier And we thought more about the positives than the negatives compared to Gen Alpha.
I partly think it's because of them being exposed to social media at a very young age. So this picture perfect lifestyles that have been framed yet. I mean, we as Gen Z have compared ourselves and our self-esteem has come down. But them being exposed to a very premature age, they're comparing themselves to everything that's on the screen. And they don't realize it's not really true, everything they see.
Yeah.
That's causing them.
And to kind of zoom out, we also need to kind of look at the kind of political and economic kind of climate that they're growing up in, right? Because right now the world is pretty much in political shambles.
Yeah.
Right? So parents are pretty much exhausted and overworked all the time. So that doesn't exactly give them the time or energy that they need to spend quality time with their kids. So after a long, exhausting day at work, and your kid is screaming at home, the easy fix is to give them an iPad, right?
Yeah.
So there's that as well. But people are simply too exhausted and overworked to care for their kids, and this is just an easy fix.
Yeah. I do think that Gen Alpha has to adapt way more quicker because of how many changes is occurring in our world, like at a daily rate. So yeah.
And I don't think they have like the good true friendships that we have experienced as kids.
Yeah.
It's just mostly like virtual conversations that you can't really connect with people. So I just think they think surface level friendships are the actual friendships which we have not experienced. Yeah.
And also, I don't think they've gone a day without their phones or their iPads. Which is true for us as well, but like me personally, I grew up without a phone till I was about 13 years old, right? So, but my little sister, she's grown up with a phone since she was 3 years old.
How do you feel about the mental health awareness that Gen Alpha has compared to Gen Z?
I think parents now are more aware about mental health or gentle parenting. So I think they created a very safe emotional space so that the kids can come up to them and talk about things going on in their life more comfortable than we are with our parents. So I think it's a more emotionally safer environment.
Yeah, I do think that schools as well, like as well as parents, they're more opening to counsel and, talking about the stress and anxiety as well as the mental health that the children are getting affected with.
I think while therapy is obviously a good thing, treating it as like the fix to all of your problems, especially in a family dynamic, is not going to work because, suppose a kid has outbursts over not having their iPad at dinner all the time and you go to a therapist about it, right? I think that's symptomatic of a larger issue. Like, the issue is not that they're having an outburst and destroying everybody's good time. The issue is that they're that addicted to their phone. And why was that addiction created? Because of the environment that facilitated that addiction, right? So, in a lot of ways, I feel like therapy sort of is only like talk it out or, do this, do that. But you need to address the wider issues that cause that problem as well. So,
yeah. I feel that this, like Gen Alpha in particular, they know like a bit too much. Like, I've seen a lot of these kids on the internet, they'll see that one symptom of depression that they might have and they'll be like, oh, I have depression now. I'm depressed. I can't go to school. And they won't get they won't get professional help. They just think they're in depression because of that one or two symptoms. Like, they are informed, but at the same time, they don't have the thinking yet to be like, okay, I need to go get help, or do I really have it, or am I just seeing like one thing or two things and be like, okay, I have it, like that.
and yeah, as kids, they're incredibly susceptible to being influenced, right? So, for example, I think in 2018, there was this game called Blue. Yeah, you guys remember it? So, imagine if something like that came up again right now. Gen Alphas would be the most impacted, right? Because obviously they're the youngest and that they have the most access to the internet and all of that.
Yeah. I don't know, but I think in a wider perspective, now that mental health is treated as important as physical health, I think this section of society which never felt accepted will now finally feel accepted and kind of fit in
Yeah.
to people and like they can come out and talk about themselves.
Do you guys think children today are becoming more independent earlier, or do you think they're becoming more dependent on the parents in their system?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I feel like in some aspects, yeah, they are becoming more independent. Like when it comes to studying more productively, they are more productive than us and they don't really rely on their parents as such, but like more rather on their tutors or they self-study better than us. But at the same time, they're very dependent on the technology
Yeah.
that comes from their parents. So they are dependent as well.
I think they're very dependent on the kind of stimulation that technology provides us the most because you can't eat without scrolling reels. You can't sit down and watch a TV show. You need to have Subway Surfers in the background. So there's definitely that, and then the central issue, in my opinion, is that everything is really fast for them. So they have no patience whatsoever. As soon as something starts to get even a little bit boring, they back off. And then they retreat into their phone or their iPad. So yeah, that's definitely an addiction. That's it.
How do you think AI is going to affect their job market?
I mean, it's already affecting
Yeah.
our potential job market. Like, if you look at more, like right now, feels like computer science already, like their graduates are not being able to get proper
They're
jobs.
completely outdated.
Yeah.
But then I, at the same time, think, like, like careers in the previous generation, like being a doctor or like being an engineer is called the perfect job. Right now, there are various careers that are getting normalized. Careers that our parents were unknown or unvalued, and even in Gen Z, it's just slowly becoming acceptable. So I think Gen Alpha will see careers that we have never even thought about. So they won't be forced into the picture perfect path, but instead they can pick up a career that they like. Like necessarily, just because I like biology doesn't mean I want to become a doctor. Perhaps a researcher, or like I just want to stand back in the backdrop of a medical advancement, or that can help too. So there's both pros and cons. Yeah.
So there's that, but then there's also the fact that AI basically eroded the need for human creativity.
Yeah.
Because it can generate poems, it can generate basically whatever you want. So if somebody, like you said, dream career, what if their dream career is an artistic expression? Because AI has already put so many artists and writers and poets out of business, right?
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, as someone who's looking into an artistic career, a lot of the researchers and scientists are saying that is mostly like in terms of animation or in terms of writing, mostly like post editing, post like not the actual creation will be taken away from them. It's mostly about like animating it or like refining the writing. Like that would probably mostly be taken over by AI.
And I personally think when it comes to writing, I don't think AI can match the human emotions.
Yeah.
So, like, I think at some level we can differentiate between AI and like a human writing something.
Well, we can, but the problem is that AI is going to be mass used. Like, it's going to be used by the masses. And that's concerning not only because the erosion of human creativity, but like also because of the vast amount of water that AI power plants use.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, it's our choice whether to use it for the right thing or the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Well, don't you think we shouldn't use it at all? Because with climate change and all of that, we're already heading towards
I don't think
Apocalyptic world.
I mean, I don't think we should use generative AI. Like, generative AI in general, I feel is more harmful than good. But, like, other types of AI, like our phones, like, even, like, the basic model of phone, according to the definition, it can be considered AI. So, it really depends on what type of AI we're trying to use. Like, I feel generative AI is very bad. But other sorts of AI, like, that can be used for scientific purposes, that's better.
Yeah.
Speaking of generative, sorry, no,
Yeah.
I mean, AI is like helping us to complete jobs that have been like very boring as such. So we can use it over there where like human intervention, like you don't really need humans to do something. So you can use AI over there. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna ask you guys, what do you think of using ChatGPT as your therapist?
Okay, yeah, a lot of Gen Alpha kids
Yeah,
do it,
yeah,
but
not internal. But I don't think you really have like a face-to-face connection, which is what you need.
Yeah.
Like, it's just you're talking to like a computer, and okay, yes, AI can mimic your emotions and everything, and it can make you feel like you're being accepted or actually talked to. But I think for in the point of therapy at least, you need a more face-to-face interaction with a human rather than just a computer.
You need a
But
human.
what if somebody substitutes ChatGPT for therapy?
You need a human touch to like.
and also like on top of that, like I said, like a lot of these kids, like they see one or two symptoms and they'll be like, okay, I'm diagnosed. And a lot of them, if they're going for therapy, like if they're going as like for therapy for ChatGPT, they already think that okay, there is something wrong with me. And ChatGPT is very easy to manipulate. Like I remember writing one. I asked her what's 2 + 2. It said 4. I said no, it's 5, right? And then it said yeah, it's 5.
Yeah.
So I feel like it can take, like if the child is not happy with the symptoms, like if it's not happy with the fact that it's not diagnosed, like they feel something's wrong, but like ChatGPT won't know it unless they tell them. So they can say that, oh, but I have this, doesn't that mean I have like ADHD or something? And then ChatGPT can just be like, oh yeah, because you said it, yeah.
Sure. What do you guys think about like how AI is just basically working on human input? Like how 1 + 1 can be treated as 3 if like a lot of people say and ChatGPT will accept it eventually. So what is your take on that?
See, ChatGPT was built for the use of users, right? It's not built to be a completely optimal model. It's built so that users will use it.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you make sure that people like your product? To make the product affirm that they are the best person in the world or that they are a great person, which is, as she spoke about, incredibly damaging, especially not only for adults but especially for kids. Because if you suppose I go to ChatGPT and I went about some argument with a friend, maybe I was in the wrong, maybe I wasn't. But the problem is that ChatGPT is constantly telling me that, oh no, you're always in the right. That person was completely in the wrong, and you should cut them off. And that doesn't teach you how to build a relationship with another human being. That just teaches you to cut other people off and when to ChatGPT.
Yeah. I think that you all agree.
Yeah.
What do you think about like the future when it comes to like just living in general? Like right now, like a lot of the countries, especially the US, they're facing droughts because of this like AI and stuff. And with the rise of global warming, I'm pretty sure Gen Z is trying to do its best to, even millennials, we're all trying to do our best to reduce global warming.
Yeah.
But it also seems that a lot of the big corporations are against us in this.
Okay, I think Gen Z, let's just step back and talk about our generation for a second. There's a reason why, especially in internet and pop culture, we've been described as a very nihilistic, sort of apathetic generation. And it's because, we were mostly born after the 2008 financial crisis and times were not great. And when we talk about Gen Alpha, now as we discussed previously, they're exposed to so much news about wars and deaths all the time. So that is definitely going to affect their emotional outlook. Like, as we mentioned, they're definitely more resourceful with AI and study materials and all of that. But at the same time, especially with, as I said, they sort of isolate themselves and always just stare at screens. They don't get that much emotional exposure to other human beings. They're not going to develop the empathy needed to have real human connections. So that's definitely that. Yeah.
I also think that I mean, like children nowadays, at least I've found, like even in Greenwood High, like in my buses, when someone's talking about a war, it's become very normalized, like for the children.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh, there's another war, what's the big deal? But then if you look at like Gen Zs, I think that we were like much more affected by them, and we were maybe not as aware as they are right now, but it wasn't as normalized as it is for the Gen Alphas right now.
Yeah.
I personally think in social media, when there's something bad, I think it blows up more than like a positive thing.
Yeah.
So I think the Gen Alpha or even us as Gen Z, I think we've normalized negative stuff right now.
Yeah.
It's happening in the world because like it's so-called popular trending right now.
Yeah. Because negative things are the ones that gain the most traction. Social media, right? The Epstein files. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, we have Venezuela and then Greenland.
Yeah, Venezuela, Greenland, and
Yeah.
few weeks ago, I remember, not few months ago, we had Palestine, and then before that we had Ukraine, Russia, and right now we still have US.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely entertaining, but at the same time, it is entertaining. I mean, politics is the entertainment division of the administrative sector, but it's also sad because of all the things that ICE is doing to US citizens and stuff.
What is your take on like virtual or in-learning person?
I think it was Denmark. I read about it in the paper. They've rolled back. They were like really in for virtual learning and digital learning in their classrooms, but now they've sort of minimized it and sort of gone back to textbook pen and paper learning.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because kids are just constantly overstimulated by screens all the time.
I mean, it is more incorporated into schools. Like even in our own school, we have the census board now.
Yeah.
So I think maybe in the future it would be way more than it is even right now. But I think the basics of the traditional learning, like I think in the future maybe they won't even know how to write stuff at this point because they're so digitalized and everything is on the screens for them, right? And they're always in that kind of an environment. So I think the traditional learning they should like still keep it, but I do think the world is going to like evolve more into a digital learning than a based learning.
But again, virtual learning can be one of our biggest strengths because I in India can just sit here and learn something from a professor in the US without having to travel all the way across the world for a thing. At the same time, in-person learning should be more prioritized because it's easier to connect with a teacher face to face, and it's even easier to talk to people face to face. You can really understand what the other person's saying. It's better for like learning more efficiently, and it's better for building connections. Like I personally during the online classes, like I barely listened to anything over there because of the distractions. And I came back to school and I think my learning efficiency has gone higher when I see the teacher face to face and in eye contact with her. So again, you can use it to your strength or it will be one of your biggest cons.
And I also feel like it's way easier if you have it like a textbook or a notebook physically with you compared to like a PDF. Because whenever you try to read a PDF, I don't know, but I find it very hard to read a PDF. So yeah, like even my sister, even though she is like a Gen Alpha, she learns better when she has a textbook and a notebook than compared to like a PDF. Yeah, even though how they are resourceful and they use digital, I feel they need like the one-on-one interaction and they need like the physical thing.
Yeah, for example, yesterday itself, I was in class and this one guy, he's in 11th grade, but he still wasn't, sorry, not like that. But he still wasn't, like, we had to type something onto the digital screen. That was the answer, but it was a proving question. So he was not able to type it. He told the professor and the teacher that I'm not able to type it. Can I take a picture of my textbook and upload it instead? So I think that we definitely need traditional learning, and all the people, like, whether it is Gen Zs or maybe even Gen Alphas, they find it easier to study with a textbook and pencils and write sums and whatever equations in their notebooks rather than on a digital screen.
The other day I was reading if you absorb more information when you write it down, text it or like typing it down on your laptop.
Exactly.
What do you guys think is one thing that you hope Gen Alpha experiences better than we did?
Connecting with people like we did.
Yeah, and going outside more, touching grass. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
definitely that. And also, obviously, the world is going to rely more and more on AI and technology, but if they could maybe unplug from that, and because they've been conditioned right from childhood to be addicted to these things, right? So it's going to be really difficult for them as an adult to cope with how things progress. So yeah, I mean, I wish them all the best because their minds are just not going to be able to handle it.
I just hope that like when I talk about my middle school days, it was during COVID, and all I could remember was seeing things I was not supposed to see on the internet. So I just hope that they get more restriction on their internet usage, and they see more positive in stuff on the internet rather than negative, so that they can, in general, just be more happier than all of us. Like, be more positive, even if there's like a war going on. Like, you need to have a positive mindset.
As humans, we've always chose convenience. So,
Yeah.
like, AI is probably our biggest convenience right now.
Yeah.
But I think as a new generation, they should probably take a step back and realize that it's not all about convenience, but it's just going to affect them more than it's helping them right now. So, I hope they minimize AI to the max extent possible and connect with people more. And
Yeah. Live like human beings.
What do we think about the digital footprint?
Oh my god.
digital footprint is like a major thing right now.
Yeah.
Like, even like for content creators who are starting their businesses now, even if they just uploaded 1 or 2 videos in like maybe in like the 2010 something, that is it's still existing. And if you're rising as an influencer, I think though that digital footprint that you've left behind, if it's a very like, it shouldn't be very negative, but it can be used, and it can be, even you can use AI and make it something that,
Yeah.
And I think with digital scams everywhere right now,
Yeah.
we ourselves are like 15 and we're still gullible to all of them. And them as like little kids, they do not really know it's not the right thing. So they just fall into traps like this.
Yeah.
And like, it's just going to affect them in the future.
Yeah. And like, I've seen with a lot of these Gen Alpha kids, like, a lot of their parents don't allow them to have phones. So they take their parents' phones and they just do whatever they want on there. And also, I feel that their parents, they upload a lot about their kid online.
Yeah.
Like, that's not, like, when you compare to our digital footprint when we were a child, it's more about, it's more about just our parents rather than us. But right now, we've seen, like, influencers, like, share about their kid online, and, like, or just, like, regular people, like, even, like, if I look at my aunts and uncles, they're not influencers, but you see their, like, child everywhere on their social media.
And the biggest part is, to add to that, the kid doesn't consent to the
Yeah.
class being online. Right? So when they grow up, they're completely embarrassed. Right? Because who told you to share that video of me pooping my diaper on the internet? And it has 12 million views now. More than
And like, there's also like a lot of these parents, they don't know the privacy features on Instagram. Like, even my parents and my uncles, they didn't know the privacy feature existed until I told them. That's when they made their account private. But if you're looking like anyone who wants to scam you, they can, like, right now, there are a lot of deepfake AI scams going around, like scams going around where they like take their voice. If their voice is on the internet, they can use it. So I feel their digital footprint, I don't know. I hope it can just be mass raised. Yeah. And I also feel like these parents, like, they've gotten way too comfortable on social media and like sharing about their kids in general. Like, I think every 1 or 2 influencers, they have shown their kid or something, like even like embarrassing moments, and then later when that kid grows up, like you said, they get so embarrassed. But at the same time, if they accidentally did something bad as a kid, like for example, like a lot of even a lot of kids our age, they say a lot of bad words. Like at home, or like outside, like not in school, but like outside in general. And then when they grow up, they realize what that word actually meant. But now it's all over the internet.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they don't really understand that people change on the internet.
Yeah, I think like a lot of kids these days, they say words that they don't even know meanings to.
Yeah.
Like they just use it because everyone else is using it. So maybe one kid does know the meaning and using it as a bad thing, but just because of the influence that your friends have on you, you just use it without even knowing the meaning of it.
Yeah. And it's kind of also how social media incentivizes you to create content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you just have to keep pumping content out, otherwise you're irrelevant. So all of these influencers, they just basically grasp that straw. So what can I do? I'll post my kid.
Yeah.
And, so there's that. But then you also have to acknowledge that it's a source of livelihood for a lot of people. So,
Yeah. Imagine your classmate comes across an embarrassing video of you from like when you were fine, it just becomes the laughing stock of the classroom. Like,
because your dad needed to put bread on the table.
yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of kids could be like bullied
Yeah,
in the future just
yeah,
because of
yeah.
this. Yeah.
And then there's also the fact that colleges.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like right now itself, a lot of people, I've heard stories of people getting rejected
Because
of something they posted.
And
That's
not just
why,
something
yeah.
posted, also private group messages.
Yeah.
Remember those Harvard students got.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge, like a digital footprint,
Yeah.
like a huge problem right now.
Yeah, that's why our school also, like the counselors that come, they always encourage us to make a LinkedIn account that's like completely professional.
Yeah.
So in case you have to submit it, you just submit your
You can
professional
do
one.
Yeah.
Do you think when we get exposed to social media at a young age is going to help them culturally develop or socially develop? Not know.
Maybe like culturally, yes, because I myself, like I found a lot of videos about like other traditions which I never knew of, like of different countries, and obviously unless I go to that country, I'm not going to know about it. So maybe yes, but it could also be like a really bad thing,
Yeah.
both sides of
But I
it.
think as Gen Z, when we've been exposed to the social media, I think we've gone back in time to like kind of understand what the Indian culture is about, and it's easier to spread the word around. So it could be a good thing, and I can just sit here and I can learn about cultures across the globe just through an app.
Yeah.
See, that's the way you use it. But
Yeah,
then again, it can also be used to fuel culture wars.
Yeah.
Right? And sort of exacerbate differences between other people. And not to mention the comparisons that social media sort of inculcates in people.
A lot of, like, I've seen like a lot of Gen Alpha kids, like I'm talking about Indian Gen Alpha kids, like when they see the US, like when they're in the US algorithm, all they see is that Pajit and all that, like the Indian hate is like so much into them.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of like the NRIs also that live in the US, if they're kid, they either get bullied if they don't have like the proper support, they get bullied.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of them make fun of India. Like, India is where you're born from. Like, it's your culture.
Internalized racism.
Yeah, they have that a lot. Like, it's very easy to manipulate them as well, right? So they just feel that, okay, because I'm Indian, I'm bad. Because that's what the internet keeps telling these kids.
Yeah.
I think it again depends on how more think about that.
Then there's also the fact, okay, since we're on this discussion about internet humor normalizes a lot of things.
Yes.
Like for example, so when I think you guys are a little too young for it, but 8th grade Andrew Tate phase.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys know who I
Yeah.
You know, like red pill, black pill, and all of that. Yeah.
So toxic masculinity, like influencers were at the height of their fame in 2022, 2023, right? And it made guys, especially in my previous school, extremely comfortable with making assault jokes, not only about girls in their class, but about teachers. So, and they just played it off for laughs. And, there's no way that you can't know that that's something extremely morally heinous to joke about. But the fact is that it's been so normalized by social media and by your peer group who consume that more of social media, that part of social media. And so now you just think it's fine.
Yeah, and like I've also heard stories from my sister. Like she was talking about like her classmates who like completely used to follow Android like 2-3 years ago,
Yeah.
and like how they would like sometimes talk about like other girls. Like of course they won't say it in front of their face because like the school prohibits that, but that doesn't stop them from talking behind their backs.
Yeah.
So my sister's overheard this, and when I heard it, I'm like, what is going on with Gen Alpha? Because like the algorithm as well. Like when you think about social media, if you like one post, for example, one post Andrew Tate says that maybe you might agree with. Like some, not everything he says is bad, right?
Yeah.
So if one post that you might agree with, the entire algorithm changes.
Yeah.
All you see is that, and then these kids will think that okay, so this is the only thing that's correct.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the internet has normalized like a lot of things which should not definitely be the
Like, it's raising awareness of stuff you shouldn't be aware.
Yeah, both sides.
Like let's look at the feminism. Touchy topic, I know, but let's look at it, right? Right now, people are sort of protesting third wave feminism and saying that feminists are like all of these angry people. And then there's this huge divide between guys our age who are more sort of conservative and are like women belonging in the kitchen or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there are women our age who are more progressive.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just this whole class divide between both the genders, like ideologically speaking.
Like we're going backwards.
Yeah.
And I feel that gap is very high in Gen Alpha.
Yeah. So it's like pick your gender, pick your ideas.
Yes.
Like you can't separate both.
This was Friday Forum.
On EdexLive.
Follow for more conversations.
And insights.
Thank you.